This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Do you ever have a story that you just can't get out of your head?
One that you play the details of over and over with your friends?
Well, you've come to the right place. I'm Claire.
And I'm Susan.
And this is Justice Pending,
a weekly true crime podcast where we discuss tantalizing crimes with more questions than answers.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Justice Pending. I'm Claire.
And I'm Susan. And today we're bringing you the story of Matt Flores. It's a murder mystery over 30 years in the making.
Matt was just 26 years old, an Army veteran, a new dad, a devoted husband who had just landed a dream job in Silicon Valley.
But on the morning of March 24th, 1994, Matt Flores was gunned down execution style in broad daylight.
A single bullet to the back of the head in a busy corporate parking lot, surrounded by over 20 people.
And somehow, no one saw a thing.
So let's back up and learn about Matt Flores. He wasn't the kind of guy you'd expect to end up in a cold case file. He was the kind of guy teachers remembered 20 years later, the kind of soldier who made friends and won respect.
And he just left the Army after 4 years of service, including time in Operation Desert Storm. His dream was to build a better future for his wife, Denise, and their 8-month-old daughter, Danielle.
So in February 1994, he started work at Applied Materials, a major semiconductor company in Santa Clara, California. It was supposed to be a quick training stint before relocating to Dallas, Texas.
And 9 days into the job, that's when he was shot in the parking lot of Building 12, killed instantly. His briefcase and papers were left at his feet. Nothing was stolen. His wallet was still there. And the motive is, to this day, still unknown.
Yeah, so it's one of those cases that you can find so much information about online because everyone kind of has a theory about what could have happened to Matt. So this has been on Unsolved Mysteries. It's been featured on tons of podcasts and other true crime shows, but it is truly unknown what happened to Matt Flores. So, let's go back. Let's go back in time and let's set the scene. It's March 24th, 1994. It's a Thursday. A little after 8 o'clock, Matt pulls into the parking lot of Applied Materials. He's driving a white Chevy Corsica, which was a company rental car. At the same time, a woman nearby in the parking lot is sitting in her car and listening to the radio. So yeah, go ahead.
No, so there is someone awake and aware in the same.
Oh, yeah, there's so many witnesses, but people are, a busy morning. Mm-hmm. It's 8:12 a.m. They have surveillance footage of all of this. So they know exactly what time it went down and how it went down. And so, yeah, there's tons of people there. But everyone's kind of absorbed in their own morning routine. Right. So 2 minutes later, this woman who's sitting in her car listening to the radio before she has to go into work hears what she thinks is a popping sound. She turns around and she sees Matt slump to the ground next to his car. Like he's on his knees.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Like he never saw it coming.
Yes. So the shot came from close range, 1 to 2 feet away is what authorities believe. And the bullet entered the back of Matt's head. The medical examiner said it was a silver-jacketed hollow point bullet. And no shell casing was ever found.
Is that a tip? I don't know much about ballistics. Is that something like someone would have a license to carry that type of gun? Is it an Army registered, device?
Yeah, what I understand is it's just not common ammunition. And so someone who knows about guns is going to be able to track this kind of ammunition down. Like you would maybe get it, at a special supply store, or you wouldn't just walk into like Academy Sports and Outdoors like we have, here in Dallas and pick up one of these. So it's significant.
It is. It's certainly a clue. We mentioned already, this is a very busy parking lot. People are showing up for work. There are other people in their cars, doing things. There are cameras, but the surveillance cameras didn't actually capture this shooting, but they did record something else. There was a 2-door Ford Explorer circling the lot. It entered once, followed a similar car to Matt's, then left. Then minutes later, it returned. Matt entered. The Explorer exited 20 seconds after the shooting. So there's another clue.
Yes. So authorities believe that this Ford Explorer is the killer's getaway car. They believe that, based on everything, the timing, the behavior of the driver, that this is the car that, committed the crime. So they want to know who was driving it. They put out so many flyers, so many, alerts, be on the lookouts for, and they've never been able to identify this car. So just as interesting as, this 2-door Ford Explorer is the fact that it followed a similar car to Matt's before settling on Matt's car. And so I looked up this Chevy Corsica because I wasn't familiar with what that car was, but it was just like your basic level sedan. And, it could have been any car, and it was white. I mean, that's the most common color for cars and a very popular model at the time, kind of like the Ford Focus of today.
Right.
Just a car that you see everywhere. So the idea that, well, was Matt the intended target? Police
Right.
believe that, that someone was stalking this car, was, watching, but maybe they got the wrong guy.
Totally. I mean, that was my first thought of if it's a rental car, I bet the company had a fleet of them. And so, maybe I imagine he's in training with other people who also have the same car. And it absolutely could have been a mistaken identity thing, which, that was the prevailing theory. Strangely enough, Matt's family never bought that theory. They actually believe someone knew who he was and wanted him dead.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So here's, another chilling element here. There were at least 20 people in that parking lot in that morning, and not a single person saw the shooter. The entire event unfolded in a blind spot between cameras. It was fast, efficient, and very calculated.
Yeah, so it looked like a hit. It appeared that way.
Right. It reminded me of, there was a murder in Southlake, Texas. I believe it was 2013 or 14. And it was a busy shopping center in Southlake, daytime. And a guy was gunned down outside of his car. He just gotten frozen yogurt and killed, and the guy was gone. The shooter was gone. It ended up being a cartel hit. A Mexican, mafia cartel hit, right? They solved that one. But it just reminded me, like, the details of this, how it was so expertly orchestrated that it really does seem like a professional.
Does seem like a professional. It does, especially, the fact that the camera, right in a blind spot of cameras, that's something.
Yeah, it's almost like, could that be a coincidence? It seems unlikely, but it was also, that's where Matt parked his car, right? So,
look for the surveillance cameras, people, when you park.
Right. So Santa Clara PD never ruled out the fact that it could be a professional hit. But without forensic evidence, they don't technically know the murder weapon, just the bullet. They don't even have a license plate. They were stuck in this case. They didn't have a lot of leads.
Yeah, and you don't have a struggle. It happens so quickly. There's no argument, nothing's taken. And so you're just left, asking yourself, like, who stages a murder in a corporate parking lot at rush hour, executes it with clinical precision, and then is able to vanish? That does sound professional.
And the details you just pointed out really reminded me of the Eric Williams case. And, the idea that this is the Kaufman County assassination. So Eric Williams, he killed prosecutor Mark Hasse, morning rush hour outside the courthouse
Yep.
and was
Oh,
dressed, yeah, head to toe in black and fired the gun and got away with it. So that was a vendetta killing. We learned later that it was a personal vendetta against this particular prosecutor. And so even though it was executed with clinical precision and professionalism, that guy wasn't a professional hitman. He this was as far as we know, first time killing someone, but it really has those hallmarks of a actual professional hit.
yeah. In your book, that's a great, I mean, not great for obvious reasons, but that was a very good description how, you described the case in your book, actually.
Yeah, it really does stand out, in my mind. I hope we get answers for Matt Flores,
Yeah.
like we did for the murders of Mark Hasse and Mike McClellan and Cynthia McClellan. So, but yeah, unfortunately, right now, as we sit here today in 2025, we still don't know. We have learned more about Matt,
Mhm.
and we know that he had beaten bone cancer as a teen. He was a cancer survivor. He had earned top honors whenever he went to Army officer school, and he was really just getting started in his life. He was 26.
Yeah, I mean, he had was so young and had already dodged a lot of bullets. I mean, he survived Desert Storm. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And friends had nothing but wonderful things to say. He was charismatic, loyal, driven. We mentioned like teachers are all, never forgot him. And, his sister was saying that he really overcame everything life threw at him. So he does seem like this very salt of the earth guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was happily married. His wife described him as an optimist. He was not someone having an affair. I mean, a lot of times we
Right.
look at these types of murders that come out of the blue,
Right.
and it usually seems like the person has the perfect life and then they're killed. And then you peel back the curtain and oh my
Right.
gosh, there was actually a lot of drama going on behind the scenes and a lot of enemies, but that doesn't seem to be the case with Matt Flores.
No.
He had a very stable home life. He doesn't have any known enemies. And, he had just become a dad. They had an infant. And the morning that he died, he got up, he went for a 4 mile run, my kind of guy.
Yeah.
And, then came home and kissed his wife goodbye. And she had no idea that was going to be the last time she'd see him.
Yeah. I mean, and you said no known enemies, but investigators were looking at all the possibilities. And one of the things they were considering was his military background. So months earlier, a sergeant who was under his command, a sergeant named Nicholas Gange, had disappeared from Fort Stewart, where they were stationed. And he was found dead in February of 1994. Skull fractures, broken ribs, and the cause was blunt force trauma. So there was this hiccup in,
Yes.
in the, in his orbit.
Right. So this death is extremely suspicious. Nicholas Gage, he had been missing for several months before his body was found. And, there's not a lot of concrete information about this case. I tried to find out more information on Nicholas Gage's death, but there isn't much available. Like the best I can tell, the manner of his death is still considered undetermined. But at various points in the investigation, it was considered a suicide, a hit and run car accident,
Hmm.
and even a murder.
Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, are we getting a 2-for-1 justice pending episode here? I mean, maybe we should look at this guy's case.
We really should. That's an excellent point, Susan. Mark that down for a future
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, his injuries, Nicholas Gage's injuries, are bizarre for a car accident because they're concentrated in the upper part of his body. So, if he's hit by a car, while he's running, for example, his whole body would have injuries. Like his legs would have injuries
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But it looks almost like someone beat him up.
Yeah, I mean, and so detectives, of course, are, all over this, and they're looking
Right.
into possible connection, which, then revealed that Gange was listed as AWOL on April 27th, 1993. His last known contact was Staff Sergeant Mark Hoyle. The two had gone fishing and made plans to meet up for dinner the next night, but then Gange never showed. So that, this is all still a little bit in the orbit, of our victim of Matt, but it's a little loose, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, just the fact that Santa Clara detectives went out and investigated this other death, I mean, I think that shows how thorough they're trying to be and how desperate they were to solve this case.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's wonderful. And it's something we don't always see out of local law enforcement. So that's wonderful.
You really don't. Yeah. I was very impressed that they went out and conducted interviews. So this person that, Mark Hoyle was the last person known to see Nicholas Gange alive. And, he's gone on the record saying he can't imagine why anyone would want to harm Nicholas Gange unless he saw something he shouldn't have seen or heard something he shouldn't have heard. So it really does make you wonder if Nicholas and Matt's deaths are related to their military service.
Yeah, and adding to this mystery, this is going to blow your mind. Matt's military records are gone. Like gone, lost, destroyed, no one knows. So that's strange, right? Like, did something from his time in service follow him to California? Was it something else entirely? Are we just terrible at record keeping at this point? What?
I totally agree. And just the idea that once you're dealing with the military, they have their whole separate code of justice. They have their own courts, their own prisons, and they aren't beholden to like the same laws and things that civilians are. So the idea that these military records are lost, I just really wonder, what that means. It could mean so many things. But it's definitely curious.
Yeah. I mean, I when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, this is something, because I feel like that just doesn't happen. There are records of people, especially high up in the
Yeah, and the military itself should be pretty good with record keeping, one would think, how important that would be.
And did they ever get involved in investigating the case? No, it was strictly local police.
Right. He had already been discharged, and they refused to comment on Nicholas Gange's death. They've said they will make no comment now or ever, is the quote that I saw. So it is very much a hush-hush situation. And you also think about the fact that the murder of Matt Flores looked to be a professional hitman, and you think about, well, people in the military are trained assassins. It definitely starts the wheels turning.
It does. It really does. And his poor family, I mean, they never get answers.
Yeah, they've considered everything. They've looked at, could this be related to Matt's job at Applied Materials? Is this something to do with government secrets, or was it an act of revenge? Even the idea that it's mistaken identity and the wrong person was killed.
Yeah, I mean, it gets your brain. I think it just rewires you as a person.
Yes.
Denise reported once that she heard a noise and her power got cut, her phone went dead, and she was sure whoever killed Matt had come for her, but it turns out that was just a regular old blackout. And I mean, I can't imagine not knowing. I mean, it's different from not knowing what happened to your loved one. We know what happened to him. We just don't know why. And so that unlocks an even greater level of paranoia, if you're Denise.
Absolutely. And you think about their daughter, who's 8 months old when her dad was killed and never got to know him, has to grow up. She's an adult now, her whole life without knowing her father and not knowing what happened to him. It's just, photographs is all that she has left of her dad and the memories from her mom and other family members. So that's such a loss.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. And even though he was briefly employed with Applied Materials, There is a small granite plaque there at Applied Materials. It sits by Building 12. It says Matthew D. Flores, 1967 to 1994. So they are remembering him in their own way.
Yes, and law enforcement has not stopped looking for answers. This continues to be an open investigation. It's a cold case, but they would welcome any information that anyone has about what happened that morning. And so there's a cold case unit at the Santa Clara Police Department. The number is 408-615-4816. And there is a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and the conviction for the murder of Matt Flores.
Yep. And let's all remember Matt Flores was a son, a husband, a father, a soldier, an engineer. He survived cancer, he survived a war, but was taken in a parking lot literally 2 minutes before his workday started. So sad.
It is. And until someone speaks up and more information comes to light, this case remains justice pending for Matt Flores. Thank you so much for joining us today to hear about this case. And if you have one that we should cover on a future episode, please go to justicepending.com and tell us about it. Until next week, we will see you with an all-new episode. Thanks for listening. Justice Pending is recorded in Dallas, Texas for Rebel Studios. It's hosted by me, Claire Sanamaw, and Susan Passoni. Our theme music is Bending Truth, licensed at premiumbeat.com. We appreciate all listener feedback. Leave a review wherever you're listening right now, and we might read it on the air. Thanks for joining us.